Well, joining us via phone from the Windy City is Father Katsouros, Dean of Arrupe College and author of this book right here in my hands, Come to Believe, How the Jesuits Are Reinventing Education Again. And thank you so much for being with us, Father.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to hear some Boston accents and to be with you. I did my theology studies in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I went there for graduate school. So I'm a big fan of area code 617.
Excellent. It was the way we were saying pizza, right?
Yeah, right. You got it. Yeah.
Father,
if today you hear his voice hot and not young. Right.
That's great.
Could you tell us a little bit about Arrupe College, Father?
Sure. I talk about Arrupe College as part of a movement in Jesuit education, hence that pithy title of mine, a movement that began over 45 years ago on the Lower East Side of Manhattan with the first nativity school, a middle school for kids who were underserved by the public schools in that area. And the second nativity school, by the way, opened in Boston, and now there are over 50 member institutions in the Nativity Coalition, working with young people on the elementary school age level who would never benefit from a Catholic education. So that's 1971, that began in Manhattan. 1996, the first Cristo Rey high school opened, Jesuits and their colleagues, and that is a high school. It was opened in a predominantly Mexican neighborhood here in Chicago, but young people that could never even imagine affording a Jesuit high school education. And I think a lot of your listeners know this, viewers know this, that that has a very innovative model of education where the students work in corporate settings one day a week to offset the cost of their tuition. So there are over 30 of those Cristo Rey member schools now around the country, with about 6 slated to open in the next year or so. So you can sort of see where this is going. Middle schools, high schools. So now it's time for higher education. So many of us are working in Catholic colleges and universities are wringing our hands about issues regarding access and affordability. And I mean, quite frankly, some of us are wondering if the cost of our tuitions and the lack of financial assistance is actually contributing to income inequality, because we know that the pathway to financial stability, to professional success, is college education. That is just a critical credential in the 21st century.
Absolutely, Father. It's interesting that you bring that up, because some of the students that you serve come from the poorest neighborhoods, some really tough neighborhoods, and you've come up with this model that's not just innovative in terms of making education accessible, but also affordable. So tell us about that.
Sure. So we are a very no-frills college. Our students are all commuters. It's a junior college. And so the idea is that our students opt for one of 3 associate's degrees, either social sciences, arts and humanities, or business. They do the core curriculum, their general ed requirements, and 5 electives. The ideal is for our students to come from families that qualify for Pell Grants, for federal aid, and also for state aid. The cost per student is around $20,000, but if they get Pell Grants and state aid, that's $10,000 right there. The students are charged between $1,000 and $2,000. We fundraise the rest. And the goal is for a student to get a lot of support, a lot of wraparound support services that enables him or her to complete their associate's degree from a college within Loyola University in 2 years' time, debt-free. And then they're well-positioned to either go on and enroll, transfer to another 4-year institution, or they're equipped with this associate's degree, this credential, that they can leverage in the workplace.
Wow. That's great. And then, Bonnie, I mentioned too, these kids are coming from some tough neighborhoods, some poor neighborhoods too. Talk about what kind of challenges these kids face and as they head into school and try to make it all work together.
A lot of our students have a lot of competing claims on their time, obviously. They do live in neighborhoods in Chicago that are characterized by gun and gang violence. They live in food deserts and job deserts. 20% of our students are undocumented, so they are ineligible for federal and state aid. We partner with foundations and also with the Dream.us, an organization based in Washington, D.C., founded by Don Graham of the Washington Post family. Don is one of my heroes, and he provides scholarships for our students to offset what they're not getting from Pell Grants and from state aid. Obviously, there's such a focus on immigration in our country right now, and so a lot of our students and their families are feeling very vulnerable at this point about, decisions being made or not being made in Washington, D.C. So, that gives you a sense of some of the issues that our students are facing. So therefore, we try to help our students stay focused, keep their eyes on the prize of getting this degree. I think the most important support that we provide our students with is that all of our faculty members also serve as academic advisors. So here's something that I found fascinating when I first got involved in this work. I'm from New York City. It's also true here in Chicago, that if you go to a city college, and city colleges do heroic work, but they're overwhelmed with enrollment. And so an academic advisor meets with his or her advisee once. Not once a month, not once a semester, not once a year, but one time. And, for our students, they're the first ones in their families to go to college. They don't have parents who are managing their lives for them. They are working, they are commuting, they've got a lot going on. And so not getting that proper advising, that mentoring, really what Pope Francis calls the accompanying that our faculty/advisors do, I think is really difficult for our students to deal with. So our students meet with their advisors formally 6 times a semester, and they meet with them repeatedly during our orientation as they're enrolling into Arrupe College. And then informally, well, let's say, you're my advisor and you're also teaching me theology, so I see you twice a week, and you're talking to your colleague who's teaching me stats, and you can sort of both ambush me saying, hey, Steve, you haven't been showing up for class, or you're behind, or what happened to your stats test. So I feel sorry for these kids sometimes because we're all over them. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. But we also
That's a good thing, though,
getting...
Father. That's a good thing for us to all stay on track,
Well,
I
listen,
encourage our
we're getting
viewers,
the outcome.
we're out of time, but I encourage our viewers to learn more about the school and get your book, which is so uplifting about the story of the school. They can visit your website, luc.edu/Arrupe. Thanks so much for being with us, Father. This is an amazing
terrific.
story.
Thanks very much. All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.